Hello people, in this video let us look at visual pathway. Okay, so basically what is visual pathway? So basically from the optic nerves, from the retina to the optic nerves till the visual cortex. This is called as visual pathway. Okay, so just look at this. So what and all are there in visual pathway? So just first understand this. This is the person, right? This is his face. So you can see the eye is where? Below the brain, correct? So this is actually what you're seeing here is superior view. You're looking from the top. So this is this man's right eye. Okay. So this is the right eye and this is the left eye. Can you understand? So this is the right eye and this is the left eye. Correct, guys? You're looking from the top into his skull. Okay. So basically we have shown the eyes here. It is actually below the brain. Now, so the visual pathway has these stations, you can say. So first is the optic disc. So here you have the optic disc, right? This point. Are you able to see? So this point is the optic disc. See, this is the eye. Okay. So here you have the retina. And guess here you have the retina. Right? It's collecting all the information, and wherever it exits, right, this will be the optic disc. It will also be called as a blind spot, right? From here, what will happen? The next station will be the optic nerve. So this will be the optic nerve. Okay. Then here there is some optic chiasma where it is crossing over. There is optic chiasma. Left and right are crossing over here. This is optic chiasma. That's the third station. Then fourth, you have the optic tract. Okay, optic tract, guys. Then you have the lateral geniculate body. Here it's marked here, lateral geniculate body. That's the fifth station. Then you can see here optic radiation. There will be two radiations here. Okay, temporal radiation will be there and parietal radiation also will be there. Okay, so two radiations are there, optic radiation, parietal, temporal. Now it has gone to the radiation. From there, where it will go? To behind your brain, touch your occipital part of your skull there, behind your brain. Right here, this is where it goes. Wait. See here? So the information reaches occipital part, right? So that is where in the brain, this portion will have your visual cortex, primary visual cortex. So that is what they have shown here, primary visual cortex. That is the last station they are showing here, primary visual cortex. This is 17 broadband area of brain, okay? So where is the primary visual cortex, guys? Primary visual cortex is in the occipital portion of your brain, right? This is the 17 broadband area, 17, okay? So have you understood this visual pathway? Okay. So this is how it goes, the image from your brain, from your eye to your brain. In the brain only you will do all the analysis, right? So basically in the brain, what is the primary visual cortex? The primary visual cortex is broadband area 17, okay, where you will perceive the image, impulse, movement of eye, everything is controlled here only. Then there is visual association area, which is broadband area 18. Here the orientation, depth, perception happens in this 18 area. Then 19 is related to movement of your eye. So 17, 18, 19 you remember, okay, broadband areas. So you can see here, primary visual cortex 17, then 18, then 19, okay. So 17, 18, 19 you remember the occipital lobe, okay. Another diagram showing here, 17, 18, 19, post-calcarean sulcus. Yes, in that optical radiation part, you remember here, in the optical radiation you have seen there are two radiations, right. You have the parietal and temporal. So two radiations, parietal and temporal, you should see, that is depicted here. So you can see here Mayer's loop. Mayer's loop will be the temporal radiation, okay. It's very light here. Actually it is this, okay. And above whatever you are seeing, there should be parietal radiation, okay. It's not shown clearly here. So what and all you saw, now let's revise, okay. First was what? Optic disc. Second, optic nerve, optic chiasma, optic tract. Then lateral geniculate body, optic radiation. Finally, it reached the occipital lobe, that is your primary visual cortex. In that, what and all areas in the brain you have? 17 is the primary visual cortex, 18 and 19 broadband area, 17, 18, 19 of the brain. Okay. So your visual pathway, some overall you have understood. See, actually, whenever you see visual pathway chapter, right, there's a lot to it, but here we are covering only some portion of it, okay, only the nerves part. Just look at this. See, the superior field is controlled by inferior retina. So now you look at the eyes, okay, now, your eyes, okay, your eyes itself. Now, when you look down, you're looking down, okay, look down, the rays which are coming from there are going to your superior retina, correct? No? Did you understand this? So, down, when you look down, the rays which are coming are actually going to your superior retina. Now look up, guys. Look up and say where the rays are falling. When you look up, the rays are falling on your inferior retina. Okay. This much you have understood, no? This part you have understood. Okay. Now we will do one thing. We will look at the lesions of the visual pathway. In the visual pathway, if there are lesions, what will happen? Okay. Are you ready? Okay. So now look at this diagram. Okay. Same visual pathway only. Just let us revise this diagram. What is there here? Optic disc, correct? Here you have optic disc. Then you have the optic nerve. Then you have the optic chiasma where there is crossing over. Then here you have the optic tract. Then you have the lateral geniculate body. Then you have the radiations. This is the parietal radiation they are showing. And inside they are showing the temporal radiation or the Mayer's loop. And then finally, where is it reaching? It is reaching the medial occipital lobe. Very specifically they have mentioned here, medial occipital lobe. So here they are showing broadband area 17 as the primary visual cortex. Okay. So let's look at this in little more detail. Okay. So basically this is depicting, this red color is depicting the nasal field. Something in front of you exactly is your nasal field. Now let us look at this nasal field, how it goes. It goes to the temporal retina, right? Here also it's going on the temporal retina, right? Now this one, you just follow this red line. It is just going like this. There's no crossing over. Directly it is going, right? So the nasal field, actually there is no crossing over of the nasal field. Nasal field, there is no crossing over. Are you understanding, guys? Nasal field, whatever is in front of you, right, exactly in front of you, that one it is not crossing over, right? In the chiasma, optic chiasma, that is not crossing over. Now look at the temporal field, okay? This is the temporal field, this is the temporal field. On this side and that side, okay? Put your right hand out, put your left hand out, make both right and left hand out. Okay, now you see from right, where are the rays going? From the right corner, the rays are going to the nasal fibers, and here also it is going to the nasal fibers, right? The nasal retina, the nasal side of the retina is getting the temporal vision. Now what happens to this blue line? Let us see, okay, blue. So we are following the blue, blue is crossing over, blue is crossing over, blue is crossing over. So whatever is there on right and left side, you have stretched your arms, please stretch your arms again. Right arm you stretch, left arm you stretch, and now cross it. Bring them together, cross it and say, the temporal field, the vision of the temporal field only crosses over, okay. And whatever is in front of you, no, keep your, look at it straight and keep your hand straight and say straight. There's no crossing over at all, okay? Straight, straight. Whatever is in front of you is exact straight. No crossing over for it. But whatever is there on your far right and your far left, all that will cross over. Now let us continue with this, guys. Are you ready? Let us look at some more details here. So what happens further on? Okay, now crossing over with the optic chiasma, we have finished. Who and all cross over? We know the temporal fields will cross over, okay? Now here, lateral geniculate body, from their radiation, parietal radiation, temporal radiation, finally occipital lobe. There's no difference here much on the nasal and temporal, okay. Now, let us look at the lesions. Okay, lesions, are you ready for lesions? Okay. Now, look at this. A is cut, okay. This point A is cut, guys. Look at this. A is cut. This A portion we cut. Why isn't it writing on? A is cut. Now what will happen? Left eye, temporal field, nasal field, both are gone. Okay, both are gone. So here there is anopia. Left side has been marked black, right side is perfectly fine. So this is monocular blindness. One eye has problem. One eye anopia, completely not at all visible. This is monocular blindness. So this is before the optic chiasma, some problem has happened. Okay, that much you can say. So is this clear? So as simple as this, we'll draw again and see. This eye, the optic nerve damaged. This eye is perfectly fine. So now how will the diagram look when you draw? This will be black. You will show this is black. The person can't see anything here. This is anopia. This is monocular problem. And then right is fine. Okay. What word are they using here? Let's see. Monocular blindness. They are using the word monocular blindness. Okay. Now let's move on. This one is clear, no? No doubt at all, right? This one is clear. So now let's move on to this one. Okay. Now this is hemianopia. This is hemianopia. Look at this. Both these things, temporal vision is affected. So what will be the problem? Temporal. Where is it? Chiasma. Chiasma is crossing over. So definitely this is a problem with the chiasma. So temporal, both sides problem are there. Easy, no? See this chiasma, why there can be problem? There could be some pituitary adenoma, etc. Let's look at this. So here's the optic chiasma. You can see here who is crossing over here? The temporal field vision. The temporal field visions are crossing over here. So here what will happen? The temporal field visions are actually crossing over here. These are actually the nasal fibers if you see, but the temporal field, okay, temporal field are crossing over. Here there is problem. That is why you will have that hemianopia. Now here above this what will be the pituitary gland. So some pituitary adenoma could have caused this problem. So at B, if there is problem, who will be affected? Temporal fields are affected. Hemianopia, that means half anopia is there. Half anopia and both temporal fields are affected. So this is bitemporal hemianopia. Bitemporal hemianopia. Please remember this word. Bitemporal hemianopia. Chiasma, right? Chiasma problem. Pituitary adenoma it could be. So now you have understood this one, right? This one over. This one over. Anopia over. Hemianopia also over. Now let us look at the next diagram here. Look at C here. C is nasal field is affected on this side. Okay, on the left one, let's say. Nasal field is affected on the left side. Right side seems to be fine. Okay. So now C, that is here they are showing. So nasal field is affected. This one is gone case. So what is gone case? This red line is gone case. So looks like some problem here. Okay, at C. So C there is problem and only one side is affected, right? Because we are not showing any bilateral condition here. So only there is a problem at C. So who is affected? This fellow. Nasal field is affected. Okay. So look at this. C. It's pretty clear only, right? C. Okay. Only one side is affected. So obviously you will write it as C. This is more like nasal hemianopia on one side, left eye here. How's it going, people? We have finished the ones that are chiasma and before we have finished, okay? So if you see, we are done with this one. We are done with hemianopia, anopia, hemianopia. We are done also with this. This one is if there is a bilateral condition, which is very rare, that binasal hemianopia they have shown, this you leave. But so here we have finished till chiasma. Whatever happens before that, incongruous, that means these images, they don't overlap, like this one won't overlap and this one. So we have finished all this, okay. Now let us go to congruous, something beyond this chiasma we are going now, okay. Something beyond the chiasma. Now let us look at the optic tract. They will be congruous mostly. Congruous means these images will overlap. Can you see here? These images can overlap. Just take this and keep it on the other image. It's the same image, right? So now we look at these congruous images. Now look at this one, D. D is what? These are kind of overlapping images. Here nasal field is affected. Here temporal field is affected. Okay, so look at this D here, optic tract. So what and all are actually affected here? If D is affected, If D is affected, the nasal field here is affected and the temporal field here is affected. So you can see this. Whenever it is a congruous, right, you can almost guess that it is beyond, much behind the chiasma, and then in this it is a right-sided problem. So this is left eye and this is right eye, yes. This is left eye, this is right eye, yes. But the right side of both are affected, right? So the right side both are affected means the left path will have problem. Did it become too much to understand? See now, just try to focus here. Again, we'll draw slowly and explain. See now, this is visual field, what you are saying. This is how it is, right? In the left eye, right part is gone. Right eye also, right part is gone. Okay. Now, this is congruous. So, you know it is somewhere behind the chiasma. That much you know. Then what it is both the places, the right side is affected. This is left eye, this is right eye. Okay. And both the things, the right side is affected. So, the lesion should be on the left pathway. That's just a hint to identify, okay. If you have understood this much is enough. If you want, we can look at some more diagrams here. Like this one. Quadrantic homonymous anopia. Quadrantic homonymous anopia. Look at this one now. See, what do you understand here? It is like a pie, okay? So, a piece of a pie. So, you took a pie and you have cut it, right? So, it is a pie kind of a thing. So, this is called as left pie on the floor. So, left pie on the floor, you can see the left part is affected on both the things. So, where will the lesion be, guys? On the right side, right? So, this is congruous. That means both the images are kind of overlapping. So, this will be behind the chiasma somewhere. So, behind the chiasma somewhere, it will be on the right side. Okay. So, here, they are saying this is a parietal lobe lesion. Okay. Then let us look at this one. This is also that quadrantic homonymous anopia only. Right. So, this is also quadrant homonymous anopia. But here you can see it is right-sided, right? And it is pie in the sky. This is not on the floor. This was on the floor. This is pie in the sky. Okay, pie in the sky. Here, what and all can you say as soon as you look at this image? They are congruous, they are overlapping. So, definitely it is behind the chiasma, retrochiasmal it is. Now, right side of both the eyes are affected. So, it should be a left lesion. Okay. So, here they are saying it is a left temporal lobe lesion. So, it should be somewhere here. Left side temporal lobe lesion. Okay. So, now let us move on, guys, to the last one which is there here. That is this one. Homonymous hemianopia with macular bearing. So, we have reached the last one, guys. So, nothing to worry here. Basically, here what you can see, it is hemianopia only. Right. It is hemianopia. Homonymous. But here there is some macular sparing. In the center there is some sparing, macular sparing. This is an occipital lobe lesion. They are saying some lesion in the occipital lobe. This happens, the macular sparing happens because of dual blood supply. That's all we know as of now. Hope this is clear, guys, because very basic stuff only we have given here. More information, please read from the textbook, okay? So, in this video, what did you learn? Temporal field will fall on the nasal side of retina. Nasal field will fall on the temporal side of the retina. Okay. Superior is controlled by inferior. Inferior is controlled by superior. So, here, from the optic disc, the information will go to the optic nerve. From the optic nerve, it will go to the optic chiasma. From the optic chiasma, it will go to the optic tract. From there it will go to the lateral geniculate body and then the optic radiation, and from there to the occipital lobe, right? Primary visual cortex. Then we looked at a few simple lesions, right? We looked at anopia, then we looked at bitemporal and hemianopia. So what and all we looked at? We looked at anopia, we looked at bitemporal hemianopia, then we looked at this lesion on one side. Then we looked at incongruous, right? All these are incongruous. The images don't overlap. Then came a congruous. Congruous, we saw homonymous hemianopia. Then we saw this left pie on the floor. Then we saw right pie in the sky. Then we saw homonymous hemianopia with macular bearing, right? So that's much is enough for now. We will meet you in the next video, guys. Bye bye.